Soul Mirror, the space where purpose, presence, and inner truth align. I'm your host, Shreya, and today we are joined by the brilliant Dr. Portia Preston, a TEDx speaker, author, wellness leader, and force of authentic change. With her new book, Hustle, Flow, or Let It Go, launching now, a deeply personal spirituality. So let's take a moment and look inward. So, welcome, Portia. I'm honored to have you on my show.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
And, Portia, you have lived and taught at the crossroad of science, souls, and struggle. So, how did your journey lead you to explore intrinsic worth?
I think that, like anyone, you come into this world and there's no question of your worth, right? You're a baby. And somewhere along the way, as you go through being indoctrinated into your culture and your society, you start to understand that there are ways that we have agreed to measure each other's worth by.
Yeah.
So maybe it is on the basis of your physical appearance or your intellect or how much money you earn.
Mm,
And what I've discovered is that that begins to seep inside and it becomes the metric by which we evaluate ourselves.
yes.
Only we want to be better at it than anything we've experienced. We want to be able to protect ourselves. And so we make it impossible to feel worthy because no matter how much we do, it's never going to be enough. And that's why I thought it was really important to help us reestablish this idea of intrinsic worth.
Yes, that's so beautiful. And thank you for personal breaking point where the hustle no longer works.
Sure, I had a several. The first one was I actually, when I left grad school, I got diagnosed with kidney disease. And a couple of months later, I was working in management consulting and I had a blood clot on the job. And all of a sudden, I'm dealing with disability leave. And I'm coming back in and I'm trying to push as hard as I can. And it's just not working. So I would say that was the first wake up call. But then there were years of resistance in and out of it. And that's when I ultimately got to this point of realizing, you know what? The hustle is kind of like that toxic partner you keep going back to. So I think I need to develop a better roadmap that's more reflective of my reality than just waiting, oh, I'm going to give this up forever, you know?
Also, you speak about restoring spirituality, not just discovering it. So, what
Yeah.
has caused this disconnection, especially among high achievers and change makers?
Wow, that's a wonderful question. And I can't say that I have a definitive answer, but I can tell you what that looked like for me.
Mm,
I think that I was thinking about a phase in my life where I was very spiritually connected. And I actually was working a job that required a lot of me. But I think I nurtured my spirituality more often. I had a journal and I would just write conversations in it constantly to the point where it just felt like an ongoing prayer. And what I've realized is that over time, the rules got in the way. So we have rules for every other aspect of life, and we bring that into our spirituality. And so we think, okay, well, to be spiritual, I have to go on this retreat and I have to do these things, and I can't be a bad person, and we just make it impossible. And the real world back is as simple as taking a walk in nature and just recognizing that beauty, that awe. That's spirituality. So giving it permission to be something that we can embrace with ease and allow to unfold within us.
yes. Is there a fear that spirituality is somehow in conflict with ambition?
Wow, I've never actually thought about that before. I do think people have challenged me on that before, and I remember them saying that. And what I've come to terms with is that my spirituality is why I recognize that the ambition I have is a gift. Because at the end of the day, my ambition, when it's healthy, is about helping others and putting good into the world. And so if I start to be ambitious to a level that's unhealthy, that's where I think they conflict because your spiritual, I think that if you consider yourself to be someone that has a spirit, that spirit never wants to do harm,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so your ambition, if it begins to do harm, I think that's the point, right? But it doesn't mean that it's bad to have ambition. I think that we need to think about all of these words that we've been kind of like canceling and come back and say, what would be a healthy part of that?
Yeah, it's very powerful when success and spirit are seen as allies and not enemies. And also, let's talk about your book. Your new book title suggests choice, hustle, flow, or let it go. Yes, like your new book, which is titled suggests a choice, hustle, flow, or let it go. How do we
Yeah.
begin recognizing which session we are truly in?
That's a great question. And I do think that's exactly how I want people to approach the book. So, if you were just for a moment, and you don't have to share with me, but if you think about all of the personal and professional roles in your life, and maybe this will be helpful for your listeners as well, and you were to ask yourself, where is the hustle showing up in my life? So it's not just the pace that I'm running, it's also, do I have the resources and support that I need? Are there demands or expectations being placed on me that are not reasonable? Right. And so we probably can identify some aspect of our lives where we're like, yeah, I kind of feel like I have to hustle there. Then the next question is, what is helping you to sustain your well-being, no matter how small it is? I remember people used to always come up to me and say, I don't have any kind of wellness practice. And I go, oh, okay. Did you sleep at least 1 hour in the past week? You know, 'cause I don't sleep. Okay, that's fine. Did you sleep at least 1 hour in the past week? Yes, 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 I did. Okay, great. And did you eat a meal? Well, yes. Okay, good. So these are things you're doing for your well-being. Even if you don't like how much you're sleeping or how what you're eating, these are, you know, it's just really had this veneer of perfectionism that's been poisonous for us. And so when I ask, do you have flow in your life? Think about how quickly our mind goes to, but my desk is a mess. My finances are a mess. My relationship is a mess. I'm a mess. So flow is starting to invite sustainable practices in that look like you, that honor your reality, your culture, what brings you joy, right? And then letting go is acknowledging that distance between the hustle and the flow. What's keeping me from flow? So maybe there's some relationships where you need to have healthier boundaries. And I want to say the healthier boundaries start on the inside. They start with you advocating for yourself and saying, I'm going to stand up for myself in this way. And then that becomes, hey, I'd love to help support you with this. Let me think about the way that I can do that rather than, yes, whatever you want. So letting go of our beliefs and expectations of how we have to navigate the world. And for the things that we don't have control over, that's where inclusive wellness is so important, because those are things that we need to address as a collective, changing systems and things like that. So it's not the traditional let it go where everything's under your control. It's acknowledging what isn't under your control and letting go of what you can.
Yes, that is so beautiful.
I would say that you're human. I think the main reason I wrote this book is because I get stuck. I was stuck before our call today. And I thought, what is the best thing I can do with the moments that I have? And I said, I can sit and close my eyes and breathe. And so in that moment, I'm just inviting a tiny bit of flow. I'm not fixing the hustle. I'm not forcing myself to let go. I'm just inviting one practice in that's going to allow me to come back to myself. So I think that I want them to know the importance of awareness and starting where you are.
Yes, attention is so real, and maybe it might be the first key to breaking free. Um, although, although it just rhymes together, but yeah, like ADHD and chronic illness. How has that shaped your understanding of self-worth in a world that measures output?
Yeah. I think I've become, I'm trying to think. That's a really deep question. A lot of layers to that. I think I'm aware of how much my self-worth has been measured by past experiences. People teaching me what I needed to expect for myself when it came to my parents. Living in a world that demands perfection and believing for a time that my brain was very much like a machine. I think my brain was my original AI. And now dealing with autism and ADHD, I have to come to terms with the fact that I actually have a lot of struggles. And so self worth is reclaiming my entire brain and not just the parts that I'm happy with that do well, but also the parts that are having a hard time and need my support and not valuing them any less.
Yes, this is a beautiful answer and like wonderful. Do you think the neurodivergent community is rewriting how we define balance and resilience?
Oh, absolutely. Because the first thing I tell people is, you can't just rely on grit, you have to have support. So there is no resilience without resources. And neurodivergent communities are very clear about the resources that we need in order to do well.
And also in your work with organization, how do we help others cultivate spiritual wellness in environments often driven by metrics, deadlines, and constant motion?
Yes, I am grateful to you for asking that. And the reason I started out with spirituality is I didn't want it to be this hidden Easter egg that people avoided. I wanted them to understand that this is actually the great equalizer. All I am saying is that there is a spirit within each of us that literally is, our ability to express and be alive. And, what comes out of us is our life force. So if we can just all believe that we have one, and that it exists separate from all of these ways in which we discriminate, then that means that we actually are equal. So I start with spirituality to give us a table on which we can all be equal. And now I'm saying that whatever your beliefs are or aren't, let's make a practice of nurturing that spirit. And how do we do that? We nurture connection with ourselves, with others, and the world around us. So for me, standing at the ocean and watching the waves is deeply spiritual for me. There's so much power in those waves, and I can come to it feeling lost and just allow the ocean to wash that away, right? Or perhaps I see a land feature and it's just breathtaking. Maybe I see a bird, right? And my connection to them, it just recharges my spirit, my energy. So that's really the invitation there is to make spirituality something that is practical and accessible for you. And so for some of us, that is going to be nurturing our beliefs. And that is a large part of our lives and it shapes how we do our lives. But I wanted my book to be accessible for anyone, no matter what their entry point was. I wanted them to be able to read it and see themselves. So we talk about things like what gives your life purpose and meaning, what are your values, and where do you find awe? Because at the end of the day, this is about you.
Yes, this is so beautiful, so, so beautiful. And can spirituality and systems ever truly coexist?
Yes, because we're never, I think we live in a human world, and so there's always going to be systems. And because people are human, there's always going to be oppressive systems. And I think that spirituality is how we resist and challenge that. So systems require spirituality to keep them in check. Um,
It's like a very bold vision, but one that could transform not just people but entire culture of care. Yeah. How do you personally navigate the guilt that can arise when choosing pause over productivity?
oh, um, deal with the fact that I'm always going to feel it, right? When I say shame-free wellness, I don't mean that I'm going to help you never experience it. I'm helping you to free yourself from the shame. What what is a wellness that I can engage in that will free me from the shame that I feel? And so let's say that I am in prison because I committed a crime and it's heinous and the people that I hurt could never forgive me. How do I restore that connection to myself? That's really what it's about. It's not about you step out of this, oh, if I only created a perfect existence, I'm enough. And you start to say, this is, and who am I now? What will I do with this day, this moment, this breath? instead of living in bondage to my past or what other people think of me.
Yes, true. Very, very true. And also, how has that shaped your understanding of capacity, not just as energy or time, but as worthiness?
That's a beautiful question. um, I'm beginning to understand that my limited capacity as a human being is intentional. I was reading a book recently that said that like finitude is by God's design. And so it's supposed to make us interdependent and look beyond ourselves. And I think that goes so well with the concept of community and this idea that no matter how much you have and how much you know, we all need each other. There's so many lonely people at the top. And sometimes the people that feel life the most and experience it the most, their lives are far from perfect. So, whatever your capacity is, that's not the point. And I think spirituality is being grateful for what you have and living in accordance with it. So, what I've been doing for years with the hustle is pushing myself beyond capacity,
Mm.
realizing that I was designed with the capacity I have. That turns how I show up. Because now maybe I can be more honest and say, I don't do that. I do this. I don't
Yes.
do it all.
This is a very beautiful energy. And like, if after this you have to give a message or say something to our listeners, what would you say?
That you are worthy and you are accepted, especially when you don't feel that you are. Um, that's not up for you to determine. You may not be able to feel your worth, but you are worthy and you're worthy of being cared for and you're worthy of caring for yourself. And if you're someone who is aching for community and connection right now, that is a beautiful thing. And I encourage you to go out there and create what you believe should exist.
Yeah, that is like that is something that many of our listeners are really need to hear this time, and just open their eyes. And you just thank you for sharing all your stories, your knowledge, your more beautiful. And if after this beautiful conversation, my listeners want to connect with you, then what's the best way?
Sure. So, first of all, it's my honor to be here with you. You have the most amazing questions, and I would
Thank
really appreciate your time here. So, my book, Hustle, Flow, or Let It Go, a shame-free guide to wellness that honors your reality and gives you life. You can find it at portiapreston.com. That's PortiaPreston. It's also available at major retailers. And also, if they want to follow me on social media, it's at Dr. Portia Preston. So at DrPorTiaPreston.
Yes, and I will make sure to attach all the details and links below so that the
Yeah.
listeners can find them easily and get in touch with you and know more from you because you're a wonderful person and you have a plethora of knowledge to share to everyone. And you speak so
Thank
beautifully.
you.
No, 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 no. You just speak and explains every complex topic so beautifully. And to all my listeners, today, with Dr. Portia Preston, we shattered the myth that worth must be earned. Instead, we return to a truth: your being is enough, even before your doing. If you are tired of hustling for your own acceptance, maybe it's time to flow or let it go. Your soul is listening. Are you listening yourself? Take care of yourself, and we'll meet soon on the Soul Mirror.